afternoon and welcome to our 4th edition of TICO Tuned In. I can't believe it's been 4 episodes already. We're very excited about this new venture of ours. And I am joined by my co-host, Lydia Knopp, who's also the executive producer of TICO Tuned In. And she will be, jumping in and asking questions as we move along from our guests. And we have I think a terrific guest today. She's an expert and a veteran in her work in academics, and she is she's been there a year now, so a little over a year, and she's the Chief Academic Officer of the newly launched Guild KC. It's Stephani is with us, and she's joining us. And Stephani, let's just get started by you telling us a little bit about who you are and what you were doing before you made it to this role as Chief Academic Officer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Lydia and Cici, for having me. I'm so excited to be joining you and really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Skilled KC and this new initiative that we're all so passionate about. I sort of joke that I took the scenic route in life to get where I am, but I learned a lot of lessons along the way that I think brought me a lot of value in this position. I started college because at the time my friends were, and I felt like it was the only way that I could make a better life than what my parents had, and frankly nobody told me any different. So I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and without a single minute of experience in the field, I decided I wanted to be a therapist and started working on a graduate degree. My first job was in a prison doing counseling with inmates. And while I enjoyed working with the inmates, I quickly realized I was not cut out to do therapy. It takes a very, very special person to get to that level of detachment. And so here I was, more than $30,000 in debt. I stopped working my graduate degree, but was luckily able to get a job in law enforcement. And I started teaching college classes at my local 2-year college. 12 years later, I knew without a doubt that my passion was in education. I had been teaching more and more over the years. And so I went back and finished my master's degree and moved then from a teaching role to an administrative role at the college where I taught. And it wasn't long before I realized that if I was going to make the kind of positive changes in education that I intended to make and be the kind of leader that I had always wanted in my life, I was going to have to take it to the next level and get my PhD and get more professional experience. So fast forward to 2019, and I am working as a Chief Academic Officer at a 2-year technical college in Kansas. And a friend of mine forwarded the job description for Chief Academic Officer for Skilled KC to me. And I joked to my husband that I don't even know why they posted this position because it was written for me. This is my job. This is what I've worked my entire life for. And I joined Jeff Barrett on July 3rd of last year, and we were a team of 2. And here we are just under a year later, a team of nearly 20, and about to launch our first training cohort in September.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
Snaps for that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, and thanks for sharing your background with us. It's always interesting to hear how people get to where they are presently. So great segue. What is Skilled KC? What makes it different? What role does it play in Kansas City? What do people not know about it?
Well, there are thousands of unfilled jobs in high demand industries, and Skilled KC takes someone with a high school diploma or better, depending on their situation, and trains them in as little as 5 to 6 months and prepares them to fill one of those positions. Skilled KC is very different than what exists currently in higher ed or in the training market. And I would say that the primary difference is our industry alignment. Training what employers are saying what they need employees to know is what we do from day one. For example, in biotech, needing employees to know and understand and be able to practice in an aseptic environment. Not being able to do that costs companies very expensive amounts of money. Advanced manufacturing, needing to understand the industry as a whole and the role that they play in it as an employee, not just being an employee. But safety, of course, is always critical. Software development, understanding the software development life cycle as a whole and all of the options and opportunities in the life cycle, and having a real desire to problem solve, being that critical thinker, right? And then when we talk about 3E, and 3E is very unique and special to Skilled KC in that we have worked very diligently to encompass what some folks call soft skills or entrepreneurial skills. These things that employers tell us are almost as important as the technical skills. Things like curiosity, perseverance, flexibility, adaptability, accountability, and built curriculum that is then embedded into each of the program curriculums as well. So the students come out that complete, well-rounded, technically trained graduate.
Wow.
Excellent. Yes, when I was, reading and learning about Skilled KC, it struck me that you are definitely filling a need, that, many people, find themselves now too displaced.
Yes.
And they need to retool themselves and their skills. So this, the program comes at a, at a very good time. And I'm sure that you'll find that there'll be many people that will want to take advantage of the program. But so thinking about the industries and the focus of Skilled KC, what is changing about these jobs, for all the folks that you're going to attract, and, and why are they going to be so attractive to people today? And then beyond that, can you describe a life of someone who would be maybe working, a day in the life rather, of someone who's going to be working in one of these three segments?
Absolutely. So throughout our research, the highest demand industries in the KC region were identified as software development, biotechnology, and advanced manufacturing. And of course, that's just the start, but we'll get there. Each of these industries have very high technology demands and either a growing or a graying workforce. One of our instructors in advanced manufacturing will tell you that it took him 10 years to learn what we are training our students for in 6 months. So the value of this training is so significant. We plan to provide students with a training buffet, and they can come back and choose a more specific training if they choose to. But graduates can literally go from their first day of class to not just a job, but a career that pays well and often includes benefits with health insurance. So a day in the life of an advanced manufacturing technician, for example, might involve adhering to all applicable regulations, policies, procedures for health, safety, environmental compliance, reading manuals to understand technology, equipments, controls, disassembling machinery and equipment when it needs maintenance or repair, performing tests, operating machinery, adjusting and calibrating equipment and machinery for optimal specifications, repairing equipment, installing new equipment, designing and implementing improvements to existing simple systems, coordinating with specialists to facilitate upgrade projects within a plant, or training operators on changes to the equipment process. It's really a comprehensive situation that they would find themselves in.
That's excellent. So, our new normal is what, how we'd like to think about the world we're living in at this moment. So COVID-19 threw everyone for a loop. And, we're sure that, Skilled KC team, wasn't necessarily something that you planned for either. So, has the pandemic changed any of the outlook, or changed the way you're working right now on some of the career tracks that you're offering?
It's strange to think about COVID in a positive way, but it really has shined a light on the relevancy of all three of these industries. Now we understand just how much our society and our economy and so much else relies on software development in providing us an ability to communicate remotely for work with our loved ones and telemedicine. Advanced manufacturing has endured a true test of supply chains under incredible pressure when demand for certain things like toilet paper and masks increased unexpectedly. Some companies nimbly shifted components of their production process to meet a need, such as switching from producing vodka to hand sanitizer. And in biotechnology, the need has never, ever been so great for us to understand about infectious diseases and provide solutions. So the work in biotechnology has always had a significant impact on economies in our lives, from health and agriculture and consumer goods and energy and materials. But COVID has exposed the world to the significance and effectiveness of the biotechnology industry as a whole, and which is reflected in the speed in which human trials began, right? And companies of all sizes have leaned in to provide solutions, from testing to manufacturing test kits. Now, of course, our graduates aren't going to go right into a lab and start testing diseases, okay? But you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most exciting components of this program is that, at least for the early stages, you're going to be offering it at zero cost for tuition. And that is outstanding. And there's many people, I'm sure, that would love that, would want to take advantage of this. So, talk a little bit about arriving at the decision to be able to offer this program tuition free, and who do you think will be, will naturally be attracted to it in the beginning? And then, of course, when the program starts.
So Skilled KC is an initiative of the Kauffman Foundation. And due to the incredible support of the foundation, the pilot program is being offered with support for that first pilot year, so that we can be able to support our students at little to no debt, no tuition costs. We have also set a goal that 40% of our students will come from overlooked populations, those that have historically been underserved or underrepresented. We never want cost to be a barrier, and we have student success team members committed to working with students even after the pilot year to ensure that our students graduate with little to no debt.
That's excellent. And when is the program, when is the first cohort set to begin?
Software development starts in early September, and then advanced manufacturing kicks off after that.
I think that's just a further testament to commitment to the city too, to like not just help fill jobs, but help train people to fill future jobs that aren't even available yet, and man, 5 to 8 months is really not that long, in the grand scheme of things. So it's pretty incredible. And actually, kind of off topic, but not really. We work with a lot of like economic development councils and with our clients and telling their stories. And it seems like for the past 2 years, the story has really been how this is mostly advanced manufacturing specific, but how they've had a PR problem in that people think that they are just like assembly line jobs when there's so much more there, and there's so much more automation, and there's so much more technology, and it's like workforce, and
right.
a lot of that subject matter, and that those leaders are retiring out. And so yeah, it's just fascinating, to think about a whole new generation for those industries coming in at no cost right now. It's pretty cool.
And they're good paying jobs. They're going to be, people be able to learn.
They're very good paying jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, you do have I think a brief video that I sent you that sort of shows some brief segments of each of these industries, but the technology that's involved in all of these industries is just amazing and fascinating. And when we talk about, even with our curriculum, doing VR in some of these areas is
That's
just
awesome.
incredible. There's a lot of fun things to come.
Who are some of your, are you even able to say who some of your partners are within industries? Like who are some of those supporters early on?
Absolutely. We had a lot of supporters that came to the table early on to sit on our advisory boards and really lean in to help us start developing curriculum, because that's what it's about, right? Is developing exactly what the companies need.
Mhm.
And so we've had companies like Fish Tech and Magna. You know what a better idea is if you go to the website at www.skilledkc.org, we put their logos on
I
our
know, I
website.
totally put you on the spot.
And then you won't
I've
have to
seen some of the
rely on my
logos.
memory.
Yeah,
And because we want to drive people to the website too, to learn much more about what
Absolutely.
KC is. And that also brings us to a good segue to the video that you spoke about.
Right now, there are thousands of jobs in Kansas City seeking trained, talented people. Skilled KC Technical Institute is a direct connection to high-paying jobs with the ability to grow into a career in advanced manufacturing, software development, or biotechnology. Graduate with no debt in as little as 5 months. Ready to step into a new path. Skilled KC can open the door to training with industry experts. So where will you go next?
And that's just a snippet of what Skilled KC is. And there's a lot more on the website in terms of details about each program and how to contact us if you want more information.
Excellent.
yeah, thank you for sharing that. And
Absolutely.
I think it's cool to know that this is like the fruit of a lot of labor. A lot of people's labor are at the table. It's not just, it's not siloed. It's like when I learned about Skilled KC, it was like I learned about how many different industries and experts and teachers and people were brought to the table to work on curriculum that, I mean, is there anything that's similar offered out there right now? Or is this something that's kind of like cutting edge here?
And we believe it's unique and unlike anything else. And I, having been in higher ed for over 25 years, over a quarter of a century, it's unlike anything else I've ever worked on or ever seen. And when you add to that, not just the industry partnerships, but the community-based organization partnerships
Yeah.
that we've had and that we continue to develop, the commitment to removing barriers for students at all levels, not just the tuition and the little to no cost portion, but transportation barriers and helping with housing barriers and childcare barriers. We want to make this a life-changing event in as little time as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of. And we're so thankful. I mean, the Kansas City region is incredible in the way that it really leans in towards its community. And so to have all of these people at the table working together is just, it's incredible.
And the city needs it. I mean, why not bring it all around one table? And if people aren't being represented, then try and bring those people to the table too. I mean,
exactly.
It's such a hand up for our city as well. And like, I saw some of the salaries and some of the hourly wages is like $26 an hour in some places. Like that's a great goal to be working towards. So
exactly.
Well, put your future glasses on, looking through the lens of Skilled KC in 5 years, in the farther out future. What's the long-term goal, since this was your dream job and you didn't even know it?
I didn't even know it. Well, thinking that we might enroll our first student this week, in 5 years, I would hope that we would be serving 4,000 students or more. And our intention is just to continue to offer additional training programs, some new and some that continue to build on the programs that exist. And students can train in some areas and then maybe come back and take more specific training in that area. So for example, a student who completes software development training may learn that the company that they work for has a need for someone with specific skills. So they could return for Skilled KC for cybersecurity training, for example.
Wow.
Excellent.
So you're thinking even of expanding even beyond those first three kind of,
Oh, you betcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
plan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, things are changing so quickly too. I mean, the workforce is changing, the demands are changing. Post-pandemic, you know, there'll probably a whole, you know, there's going to be things that we're starting to see now emerge that will be, you know, will also be new skills that we're going to have to develop. And so I think that, you know, it's going to be a great program. We're so thankful that the folks that, you know, that your team and all the stakeholders came together to offer something of such great value to our city. And I think and I know you're right. Kansas City is an excellent place. They were a great place that, to your point, leans in, and we want to solve. We want to solve
Yes.
when we can and where we can. And there's many people that are very selfless and come together to that goal, with that goal in mind. So what's one piece of advice you would offer someone who's considering this program?
Well, as I said, I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Skilled KC, and for the last year, I've met one-on-one with many of our industry partners for these programs, and I listened as they shared their very specific employment needs, the skills required for those positions, and many have eagerly joined our advisory boards, worked side by side with our instructors to develop the training curriculum. And I recently sat in an advisory board meeting and listened to the board members react as pieces of developed curriculum were presented to them. And they were so excited. And one of them specifically said, "This is incredible," because they have waited so long for something like this to come to them. These employers are so excited by these programs and the creation of this whole new category, really, of an employee. So this isn't an entry-level position they're hiring for. For somebody considering this program, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit.
Wow, it's terrific.
Make me want to enter. Just kidding, Cici.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, so last question, Stephanie. What is your favorite thing to do when no one is watching?
Okay, well, when you're sheltered in place with a hubby who's off work for the summer and my daughter who's also off work due to COVID, there's a lot of that. But on the rare occasion when I find myself in the house alone with no work to do, I like to turn on the music, turn it up loud, and dance like I know how.
Yeah.
We have heard that answer before, actually, from a
Yes.
good friend of all of ours, good old lady Jordan Wooden.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yes.
she like
That's hilarious.
She said the car, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's a different feeling.
Well, this is probably why we get along.
That's right. That's right. We all think that way. I do too. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
I do it when people are watching. No, I'm kidding.
I do that when people are watching too. I mean, I don't know.
I do more of the head bob when people are watching. You know, I'll really.
I wonder after shelter in place when dancing in public happens again, if people will forget how get a little timid to get out there.
Get out there.
Good, we're all practicing at home. I mean, it's good that you have some downtime because we know for the last year you've been working on launching this that is now Skilled KC in fruition. You know, it's really exciting. And so I guess too, once the cohorts start and once like the training in the first 5 months happen, will you do like a recap or obviously modify and adjust, but how can we keep following like what's going on and the news?
Yeah, we will be happy to keep you abreast of how things are going. I mean, we're already, we know the first cohorts are happening, but we're already looking to the next piece. So just stay in touch and we'll be happy to keep you up to date.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Stephanie, for your time. It was excellent. It was great to get to know you and then of course the important work that you're doing at Skilled KC. I know that the program was in amazing hands under your leadership, and we look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. It was great meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.